Commenter wanted to know why oiling the springs made them last longer, or I should say didn't think that oiling the springs had anything to do with their life. But this spring right here is a good indication. That's an exhaust spring. It's pretty much at the max lift. And then you can see this one next to it, which is not. And the oil does not come out of the top of the rocker arm. It comes out of the bottom right here, and it shoots on the spring. The reason the springs wear out is because it's a triple spring and they rub against each other. So what that does is create friction, and heat is what kills the tension in the spring, or at least it's one of the things. So heat kills, the oil keeps the triple spring from rubbing against itself and generating a bunch of heat. And as I said in another video, we went from barely getting 10 runs out of a set of these to getting 100 plus runs. Titanium retainers, the valves are titanium. And these are the stands that the rocker arms go on. So you got, this stand is bolted down to the head, the rocker arm goes on there, and then the rocker arm is bolted on with 2 bolts. And then the stud girdle is, I made these tie bars, right? So you got these tie bars here, and they're short ones. And I welded everything together. So all of these rocker stands are one big welded together piece. It's all tie bar welded all the way across. So when I undo these 8 bolts, this whole piece, all the rocker stands are going to come off in one piece. And it makes it, it's stud girdled, but it's under the rocker arms by these tie bars instead of above them. And on both of the ends, I put the longest bolt that will possibly go for the amount of threads that there are, because the end ones are kind of hung out there to dry. They're tied together right here, but everything else is tied in 2 spots. And these, obviously, since they're the end, they don't have the strength. But anyway, so it's all unbolted, and now this whole piece, let me back out so you can see it, this whole piece lifts off in one big, so that's all the rocker stands. There's the rocker arms, the push rods, and the stands, and everything's marked. So they all go back in the same place they came out of. Where these rocker stands, they bolt down. These holes are sleeved with it's called a time cert. It's not just a helicoil. It's an actual steel sleeve so that you're not screwing into the aluminum, and all of the bolt holes are like that. There is an enormous amount of force on those rocker arms. This is a Gen 4 GM bow tie block, and they did not have this extra bolt that goes in from the bottom. The new modern blocks have this bolt hole, but we had to we machined this surface of the block and then drilled and tapped holes. There's a dowel pin right there, and put this fixture in so that this bolt actually screws in to the bottom of the head, because on a big block head, you are missing that bolt on the top. So where those are, there's a big gap between these 2 bolts right here, and there should be a bolt right there. See, there is here. You got the gap and you got a bolt. And over here you got the gap and you got a bolt, but you're missing it right here, and you're missing it right here. And so that's where these guys come into play. Here's where the magic happens. If you want to see how you get a big block down to a 76 cc chamber, this is it. Brings a tear to your eye, doesn't it? Checking these lifters. You hear that noise? The needle bearings are flat. They're not round anymore, and they're not smooth. Listen to this one. There's no sound. So this engine wouldn't run very much longer, and we would have a bad problem. Do you guys remember the video I made where I cut the oil filter open on the Camaro race car engine and wanted your opinions on what you thought? This thing was always really loud on the driver's side. It literally sounded like it was knocking. And then when it warmed up, it seemed like it went away. And I didn't notice it when I pulled the first head off, the 2468 side, but now that I see it on the driver's side, the 1357, there's a little mark right here. There's one right here, and there's a pretty big one right here. This whole shined area. Now look at the 1357 head. Look at that. Shiny, big time shiny. Every cylinder. It's a little less bad back here. Were we running things close to the edge? See this mark right here on the piston? The pistons were hitting the heads. So, yeah, it's every one of them too. You can see it's shined up. You can see the shiny line right there. And yeah, when I say this thing had high compression and we were running it on the ragged edge. So, see the line right here? It's kind of shined up right there. The pistons were actually making contact with the head when it was cold. The other thing I want to point out is how small the domes have to be. Let's get the angle here. So there's not much of a dome on that piston, right? That's pretty small. But when you only have a 76 cc chamber in the head, that dome pretty much fills that chamber. And because it's a big bore, it's a 4.615 bore pushing into this chamber, that's how we get the 17:1. It's actually just slightly over 17. Well, there's a few ways we can correct this problem. We can either grind a little bit out of the head, which I don't want to do because I don't want to make the chambers bigger. We could grind a little bit off the piston, which could be done because I am going to rerun these pistons. There's nothing wrong with them. Or the third option is I could get shorter rods, just a little bit shorter, which would kill a little bit of our compression. But what do you guys think? To correct this contact with the head, again, we got the marks here. That's piston contact right there. I wanted to show you how easy this engine rotates. The heads are off. The cam, everything, the cam's still in it, but there's no load on the valve train, obviously, because the heads are off. But this thing, I'm going to pull a piston and show you in a minute, and then you'll understand why the drag is so low on this engine, but it turns extremely easy. And I will show you the reason why in just a second. Oops. All right, so it's a Bill Miller rod, BME, Bill Miller Engineering. It's the 500 series. And the reason this thing rotates so easy is this is the ring package. We got a 155 back cut on this ring, meaning laterally the depth of the ring is 155 thousandths, so it's a low tension. And then this little dinky 3mm low tension oil ring. So that's my ring package. There's just a top compression ring and an oil ring, and that's it. And that friction at 9,500 RPM that's freed up. The other thing that I did is these pistons used to have a secondary skirt that went all the way around here. And now I realize they come that way, but it takes a guy in his backyard to grind it off by hand. And then the piston manufacturers see this stuff, and then they start making them that way. But this radius up here used to be also on the bottom. And to get these things as light as I possibly could, I just cut all that off by hand. And in fact, the profiling of the piston itself was all done by me by hand. Also of note, there's one point in the valve event where the intake valve misses the piston by about 17 thousandths of an inch. So if I zero lash the valve, it literally would not turn over. The engine would not turn because the intake valves would hit the pistons. The reason I get away with having that so close, and you can see a witness mark on this piston where the valve touched the piston. That's why it's really important to warm this engine up before you put the beans to it, because everything grows and you get your clearances back. The reason that the intake valve works with that tight tolerance is because the piston is actually moving away from the valve. It's about 40 degrees after top dead center, or so when the valve is that close. So because if the piston was moving towards the valve and it was 17 thousandths away, there's no way you'd get away with that. But because the piston is moving away and the valve is chasing it, it works. So when I say this engine is maxed out from, you know, the compression being so high that the pistons are literally touching the head and the valves are touching the pistons, it's maxed out. It's everything you can do. It's as big as it can possibly be. The cam lobes are so big that they physically wouldn't fit in the tunnel. The cam wouldn't, because the journals don't, you know, they're not a big enough diameter for the cam lobe to clear if they were any bigger. This thing it's maxed out in every way to get the horsepower number. And of course, I am going to fix these issues, like the pistons touching the heads is not ideal. This I'm not too worried about, to be honest with you. It's been that way pretty much its whole life, and it's never been a problem. Last note, a commenter asked about why I had a dry sump and a vacuum pump, because the dry sump oil pump acts like a vacuum pump. The ring package on this piston is so light that I got to keep a good amount of vacuum in the crankcase all the time to, among other things, control the oil. So that's a secondary reason why I run a vacuum pump as well as the dry sump, is because the ring package is so light on these pistons.